Yes.
Okay.
Let's go. We might. Yeah.
Ancestors on the wall, let the ghost chit chat. According to beat. I
Okay.
wish I could do the beat. I don't know. I should learn it. Ancestors on the wall, let the ghost chit chat. Ancestors on the wall, let the ghost chit chat. Let the ghost chit chat. Hey, chit chat. Sitting with the ghosts up in my house. Sitting with the ghosts, their mouths are shut. Sitting with the ghosts, they speak through me. Sitting with the ghosts, they holler.
Sitting with my ancestors, I hear they're telling me that I'm too smart to let anything worry me, to let anything get the best of me. Uyavuma.
Woza kanda pants, uyavuma. Woza kanda pants. Sitting with my ancestors. Sitting with my ancestors. Sitting with my, hey, let the ghost. Sitting with my, hey, let the ghost. Sitting with my ancestors. Hey, sitting with my ancestors. Hey, 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 hey. We're going to cut it short today. We're not going to groove all the way deeply in because we don't want to, we don't want to spill the time, It's just spilling it.
The hourglass.
Spilling the time.
No.
Hello, darling. Hello.
Hi, co-host.
Hi, welcome to another episode of the Bonolo podcast. My name is Palesa. My last name is Koitsiwe. Lina Lame, I already said Lina Lame, ke motlhako wa matutu, which means that my folks are from Tlhakong, from Rustenburg. Ke ngwana Thapelo Koitsiwe le Thandi Koitsiwe. And I call out to my great-grandfather, Kifeletswe Mabe, my grandfather, Eseu, my grandmother, Makwati, and those who came before, the many of us, and those who surround us constantly. So, welcome. Hello.
Welcome.
My pronouns are they, them.
And we are located
on the unceded, ancestral, and traditional, but like really traditional lands of the Musqueam, the Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh folks. Like these are their lands.
Hello. Paying respect to where we are. My name is Vuyo Gazi Nomatamsanga Ayanda Ndomozugo Nyameka Mgotuka. We are both of South African descent. Ndizalwa kwaNyathi. Ndizalwa naseMantlaneni. KwaNyathi ndizalwa ngubudede. Unokhonzo nogiximibengo. Unkosazana obelete. Umfazazana obelete onyisela ngaphesheya komfula. Ndizalwa Ntuka, uhobo, untake nebale ephikweni. I am of Xhosa descent, South African, and have been here for the past 6 years now. Going on 6 years. How's it been? How's that journey?
It's been a journey. It's been a journey. I've been here this is my 7th year now.
Beautiful.
And it's been a journey. I mean, ups and downs, here and there. I think the biggest way that being here has impacted me is being around my identity and like how I choose to identify and how I choose to show up in the world and to express myself, fully without having the confines or the constraints of home life, traditional life, the person who I was back way when I wasn't even actually being me freely, openly with people, and so that's been my journey. How about you?
I feel like I have been evolving in terms of identity and what that means, especially around queer identity.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to tell you, like, throughout most of my high school career, I knew that I knew that I was queer when I was in grade 2. I knew that I knew I was gay. I knew I was gay. My first ever experience it wasn't necessarily around identity, but I knew that I had like queer experiences and queer inclinations by the time I was in grade 2, and I was like interested and intrigued. But it was never a thing that was spoken about. It was just like a thing that I knew aroused something within me. But yeah, we did not introduce.
No, I was about to say that, by the way, we're going to be talking about queerness.
Delve into.
We're going to be talking about being queer people, being two Black queer people.
Yes.
It's so interesting to me because even the language nowadays is like, like obviously Dala, you would come out and stuff like that. And I think in the first episode I spoke about letting people in instead of it being like a coming out thing. And, people can debate about how they want to express it or what the essence of it is. I think from a young age, I had experiences that I guess now as an older person I'd be like, oh, dala ni gamers, like dala, because I'm not even gonna spill the real tea, but even my first wasn't even a sexual encounter, my first crush, my first my first gravitation was with this girl who lived down the road from us, and we used to play, and so I would always like make sure that we played together, and I would like always kind of like pull her away from the rest of the group just to get a little bit of one-on-one time, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I tell in the streets, we've been in the streets for yonks.
I was gonna ask, are you the shellering type? Like, are you the pursuer? Okay.
Hello.
Okay.
Young one.
Yeah.
Thank you. I am the pursuing type. I am the. If you want to pursue me, pursue me.
Yeah.
If I want your ass, I'm coming for it. Period.
Okay.
There is no other calculation. If I want you, I am coming to come and get you. Wow. Right? Yeah. And so I'm not going to be waiting for people to shell at me, especially when shellering is the pursuer. Yeah, like you said. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to wait for people to pursue me because in Vancouver, you're going to tell me you want to wait for somebody to pursue you in Vancouver.
Courtship will not happen.
Excuse me, I'm not a white lady, okay? People don't pursue me like that. People don't pursue me like that.
You haven't been asked for like a coffee date, Nyana?
I mean, there was a guy who gave me his number on the bus.
Oh.
Yeah, he like wrote on the back of a receipt because I was reading my book and I had my earphones in. Yeah. And then he was like, oh, I'm about to get off. I didn't want to disturb you, but here's this. And I took the piece of paper and I forgot it for a week because I didn't read that book for a week because I put it in there. Yeah. And then when I opened it, it fell out. And I was like, let me give him a call. So I mean, there's been people who have pursued me, but it's not like South Africa. It's not like ozala elo susana inele elo muntu na inele elo muntu na ibunu azishe, like there's no suave. It's not like
like they don't give you a no. I miss South African shellering, like
yes.
Like, yeah, like being courted. A person will literally recite a whole poem in your, like, it's either they diss you to get your attention, like a good razz. But there's also such poetry, especially to Zulu men. Like, you either really, you gotta be into it or like you're not at all. It's either like really aggressive or it's like,
okay.
Peace. Yeah. You're like, yo, baba. Yo. Hey.
Yes.
But yeah,
they made me upset when they started doing this whole trend. Yeah, my size. So like somebody who is interested in you would like walk up to you and be like, "Oh, my size," which means like you and I fit together.
Oh my god!
But it's just like that's such a weird thing to say when you're trying to court somebody. Hey, my size. Like, what does that even mean? I don't enjoy that at all. But it's interesting. I think Uguti, and we'll go back to talking about queerness because now we're just talking about being courted. Yeah. I think that one of the things that I miss about back home is that there is this, the English words are so sharp. I want to say relentless, but it's not relentless. It's like not even the persistence, because persistence here is taken like harassment, and it's like it's like violent. It's like I'm gonna grab you and like hurt you, you know. Whereas like back home, the persistence isn't like somebody is going to come and hurt you or harm you. The persistence is like, I know you're playing hard to get, bitch. There's just like a language. There's this language, and it's a body language, it's a social language, it's a context, it's the temperature of the day. Like, people will mac on you or court you in different ways depending on the temperature of the day. You know what I'm saying? Like,
listen, if there's liquor in the vicinity,
get it together. Do you know I went out last night and I paid for my own drinks?
How dare you?
You would never see that shit in South Africa. You would never see that shit in South Africa. In South Africa,
how are you paying for your own drinks right now?
Babe,
it's the birthday weekend. Also, let's holla. It's the grand 30. It's the birthday weekend. Hey, it's the birthday weekend. Oh.
No, it was, because I went out with my girlfriends. I mean, I'm not anticipating to pay for my own drinks tonight, but last night was like a pre-party. Yeah. But nonetheless, like, all of the guys, as we were walking past, oh, you're so hot, you're so hot. Even the girls, like, oh, you're so hot. But nobody approached us. No girl, no guy, nobody else who was in the crowd. Wow. I was like, wow, okay. Ooh.
That's okay. I mean, people, they don't really like...
Here? No.
It's interesting.
No.
It's interesting. So, okay, wait. I was going to ask, what is your preference in terms of like courtship? Like, do you prefer to be pursued, or like in an ideal?
I would say a 50-50, or not even a 50-50, just like a dance. You know, it's like, sure, you come and walk over to the other side of the room and do that initial pursue move. I'll run the conversation. I'm down with that, you know? You will make sure that we're meeting on a specific day for a date. I'll organize the date details, you know? Like, I want to give as much as I want to receive.
Right.
And so I prefer the dance together that we can do, where it's like spoken, but also kind of unspoken. And it's like we're both bringing something, but there's no expectation, because if I actually wasn't going to be doing the 50-50 dance, you would bring all of it, which you already do regardless. And so that's what I'm looking for. It's like, match my energy. But I do, in terms of regions, prefer to be courted in South Africa. Particularly. Oh,
yeah, it's an experience. Oh, wow.
What about you?
I prefer to be courted by women or femme-presenting people in South Africa than I do men folk. Masculine folk, I prefer to be courted here.
Ooh, yeah. Why is
that? It's really interesting. I really enjoy like a really calm, kind of nonchalant pursuer. Like, I kind of prefer the ambiguity of being pursued by men, because they're very shy here. They're like, oh, I don't know if I can approach you. You look so interesting, and like, you look really cool, but I don't. And I'm like, it's really like fascinating to watch people like kind of like stumble over their words or like be intrigued. Not everybody is like that, but I feel like the laid backness of the pursuing here is like soothing to me in some ways. Back home, when it's like femme presenting people will straight up, like, there was one person a long time ago. I had a crush on her for like years. And when I finally was like gonna make a move, she actually initiated it and was just like, you know what, Wena, come here, I'm gonna dance the pretty off of you. And literally my whole world was just like rocked. And like, I don't know, like South African women like pursue in a way that's like also brazen. Like when they know that you're queer and they're like, because I'm shy, like I don't want to like claim that as a whole thing, but like, yeah, I'm not an active pursuer. When someone will like pursue me, I'm like, oh, it turns my whole life all the way in the beaming. And so, yeah, like when I've been pursued by South African women, I've been just enthralled and intrigued.
Yeah. Just give me 1 second here. I need to log into something. Oh, no, I'm lying. I'm a whole hour early. Oh. Yeah.
But yeah, when I've been pursued by South African women, I've been like really enthralled and intrigued. And then like the kind of the active, like straightforwardness of being pursued by South African men, it throws me off a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, you gotta be in South Africa to receive that kind of like the attention. You gotta be on your toes. Like you gotta be like as quick with it as they are.
Yeah.
And I haven't always been.
It's a witty game.
Yeah.
It's a witty game.
They're like, Umutu will come at you with a line and you gotta be like, yeah, now it's better.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So and that's me.
You got that.
That's me, pound for pound. I'm just like, you want to pull up? That's the game we're playing?
Yo.
Let's go, baby.
Yo.
Let's go. I'm going to show you that you ain't never played in your life.
Oh, my God. Oh, tell me, how has your queer experience been living in Canada versus in South Africa?
There was no queer experience in South Africa. Outside of stealing away moments, there was no queer experience. No. I used to have a queer experience vicariously through my gay cousin. But other than that, there was no, with the way that even gayness is treated, let alone thinking about queerness. Like with gay, when people think about it, they're like, okay, cool. So doesn't like opposite sex, like same sex. Okay, check. In a category, in a box, we can understand that. And the moment you say queer, it's like it's literally the act of expanding, right? But that expansiveness freaks people out because they don't know how to grab onto a solid
defined
thing of you.
Yeah.
And so instead of having a queer experience, I was just like, I'm going to work on knowing exactly who I am for me. And I'm going to know what works for me so that when I got here and I had the opportunity to jumpstart this queer experience, like fully, without anybody who's gonna be like, Mara, you are doing this is disgusting, this is whatever, this is against your this, you must go pray it out, you should be shameful, blah blah blah, making jokes like, oh, people who like same-sex people, oh, they're a little bit crazy or whatever, like just away from all of that bullshit. And also in a place where nobody knows me, so I could fully step into who I was. And so from the first moment I was able to like take that fucking jacket off, I took that bitch off. Yes. I was like, I took it off and I dropped it off at a dry cleaner and I've not picked it up since.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been very, very interesting. How about you? How's your queer experience been? Especially knowing since you were 2, like, going into grade 2. I mean, technically, you might have already known.
Oh, I feel I don't know. Like in South Africa, I feel like there were just like lots, or throughout my childhood, I had a lot of like moments of, I guess, stealing away too. Like it was not like overtly being able to be queer out loud. My first ever like queer experience was like playing hide and seek, playing house with this girl.
Not our first experiences sounding the same.
with this girl, and she would steal me away. I was the other. I was the on the.
Okay, so I was the other girl in this case. I see.
Yeah, and so yes, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But yeah, she would just like steal, and then we would like just play out of curiosity, and I was just like, wow, I really, this is great. And then like throughout my adolescence, kind of like realized I was like in boarding school also, there's a ton of queer experiences. I was like mostly around I went to an all girls high school. Didn't know how to like express that. I think when I found out or figured out that I was like queer, I lived in it and I was like physically expressing it. And so I feel like I figured out how to verbalize my queerness in like living here. But before I was like living it out loud more, because there's a lot more opportunities for sexual experiences and exploration I found in South Africa than there was here for me. And I was like, okay, let me live more into it and embody it. I think as an identity queerness, I've embodied it here, but physically exploring my queerness in terms of like sexual experiences, I did a lot more of that
back home.
Sanbona
nonke.
Yeah, it's a little bit nasty.
A little bit nasty. Right.
No, I'm joking. It was it was very kosher.
No, but it was right, a little bit nasty.
Very kosher, very innocent. But yeah, it's been an interesting journey, I think. But yeah, I feel like it's still evolving.
Yeah.
I think the language around queerness is like also evolving. There's like so much more nuance around identity that we are getting to explore and express. But also we've always been here.
Yeah.
We've always, this is what it's always been. I think it confuses me now when people like act surprised by the evolution of language around queerness.
Yeah.
Like we haven't always, like one language has always been evolving to meet the needs of the people and what they need to communicate. And so has queerness as well.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm excited and intrigued about how the conversation is evolving around being queer. And there's like certain elements that I'm noticing both in South Africa and here, of just like people learning to live out loud and express more freely their queerness. But I think South Africa is definitely a different atmosphere in terms of how we use language and about like when talking about identity or queer identity, because they'll be like, yo, I was man ufani lamtana, or like, yo, so and so, and I'm like, okay, it's but I felt really liberated, I think, in terms of how I can embody and express my queerness here and having language around it than I did at home.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. I definitely think the language piece, I resonate with that 100%. I wasn't, I think I don't know if it's a correlation, like if the relationship is in parallel or if one caused the other or whatever was happening, but I also wasn't as what can one say, like sexually awake either. Like I wasn't like, even if I was being homogenous, and only trying to like, focus on, can only be attracted to men, otherwise I'm weird, I still wasn't like out there
actively pursuing,
like it was really weird. My first I had boyfriends in high school, but like the type of boyfriend you have in high school, the type of relationships I had in high school. Let me not say that for everybody, because some people are out here paving lineages in high school. Okay, high school sweethearts is a thing, but for me, it was very base level. It was very surface. Like, I'm gonna hold your hand, or we were like dating as a byproduct of having friends together. And so our friends would kind of make us a couple or whatever, but we weren't actually really a couple. And so even in university was when I actually had my first partner. And I was like, wow, that is so interesting. Like, and obviously university, you see everybody. You see everything in university. I was walking around university like, I'm gonna flunk out because I cannot focus when I'm out here. So I locked myself in the library because people were fire. And there was no dress code because you're no longer in school uniform.
Yes.
Babes, come with your short pen. Let me see. Let me see what you're working with.
Yo. Were you in, you did university in South Africa and then moved here?
And then I moved here, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I did university in South Africa, finished in 2013. Spent a few years in South Africa and then came here.
Marakatsu, when you were in university, you were just like staring, like
I was just like
staring at everybody.
I was staring at everybody. I was walking up to everybody. I was making friends with everyone. That's my scapegoaty thing sometimes when I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna turn into anything else. I just make friends with you. I'm like, okay. Hey, let's be friends. Hey, how's it going? Everybody who's my friend now is like, oh, I'm sure when they listen to this, they'll be like, oh,
I remember.
It's never too late.
Come get it.
Yeah. Wow. But it's really wonderful, like you said, to have language, to have spaces that are literally hubs for like Black queer folk, and like, you know, like I'm absolutely grateful that I have a situation like that, and I have spaces like those. I'm also slightly nervous about what it's gonna look like for me to go home and like be with my whole extended family, and how, like, whether or not I will feel like I have to every time affirm my pronouns, you know? Or is it just going to be something that I let slip by the wayside, you know? Just like, it's okay, while I'm visiting, everybody can use she, her pronouns. This is obviously a conversation with me in my head, you know? But like making those types of decisions. But again, like I was saying on the bus to you, like, being queer is for me. It's not for anybody else. And so, in as much as I would love people to affirm that, to realize and to call me by my pronouns and stuff like that, not everybody's going to come around to that. And I'm not going to be fighting it. I don't want to use my energy on that. I'd rather use my energy doing something else. Yeah. So, that's how I feel. I think we should wrap it up.
All right.
Yeah. Whew.
Oh, that was... Thank you, co-host.
Thank you, co-host.
Also, happy birthday.
Thank you.
The weekend. And the lovely Palesa was born on
March 13th.
March 13th.
Yes,
I was going to expose your year. Expose your year.
I mean, technically, if they know how to count, they will be able to figure it out. But I was also born on a Friday. Friday the 13th. Yes, which is why I'm so magical.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. A magnetic, irresistible, sensational. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for another episode. Thank you, Vuyo, again for being an amazing co-host.
Thank you.
And we'll see you folks next week. Yes. Bye.
I am so sorry.
Oh no, let's do a shout out. Also, before we go, we wanted to shout out Rich Soul Foods for this beautiful studio space, for being our sponsor, our first sponsor, dedicated sponsor, and doing what needs to be done to support the community. So thank you. Thank you very much. All right, folks. Bye.
Bye.
Ancestors on the wall, let the ghost chit chat. Ancestors on the wall, let the ghost chit chat. Let the ghost chit chat. Hey, chit chat. Sitting with the ghosts up in my house. Sitting with the ghosts, their mouths are shut. Sitting with the ghosts, they speak through me. Sitting with the ghosts, they holler.
Sitting with my ancestors, I hear they're telling me that I'm too smart to let anything worry me, to let anything get the best of me. Uyavuma.
Woza kanda pants, uyavuma. Woza kanda pants.
Sitting with my ancestors, sitting with my ancestors, sitting with my, hey, let the ghost, sitting with my, hey, let the ghost, sitting with my ancestors, hey, sitting with my ancestors.
Hey.